Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Awesome. And now, okay, perfect.
And now I can see you.
Yeah.
Hey, Danielle, what right on. Well, thank you for taking some time here to join us in Vancouver, Canada.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate you being flexible with the time.
No, of course. Yeah, of course. I see your stuff all the time. I see your stuff. I'm on equally, I think, with Twitter and Instagram, but I see your stuff more on Twitter for some reason.
Oh, good.
Do people
That's
tell
good
you
to
that? Like,
know.
is that weird? Like, I would think that as a streamer, you must be like slamming your stuff into Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, I do pay way more attention on Instagram than Twitter, so but I try to do both. So as long as one is working, I'm happy, honestly.
No doubt, right? And that must eat up like so much of what you do as a streamer. Like social media must just constantly be on your mind, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Vancouver, by the way?
I have once. I did a fan expo Vancouver, I think in 2018, so a long time ago now, but
Yeah, it's been some time.
mhm.
And where are you based?
Right now, Los Angeles. I just moved last year from Florida.
Oh, no way. Okay,
Mhm.
what was the decision to make the move?
I had been wanting to for a really long time, and my plans got pushed back because of COVID for a while. So once everything started to clear up, we were able to come. My roommate and I both wanted to. We both do cosplay, hosting type
Yeah,
stuff. It's just there's a lot more opportunities out here.
right, right. And how long have you been streaming for? Like how crazy that you can make a living doing what you're doing. I think it's just awesome. Like, and of
Yeah,
course, teachers and the people in high schools and stuff, they're not like, hey, you should become a streamer.
yeah, I
But
know.
but like legit, it is a
hmm
job in today's
hmm
world, right? Like straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
And how long have you been doing it for?
I want to say 5 or 6 years now. It's been a while.
And what do you think the hardest thing about being a streamer is?
Um, for streaming, definitely the consistency of it, and um, for streaming, the ability to stream as often as possible, as long as possible, is really important. And the
Oh,
consistency of doing it multiple times. I used to do 3 times a week. Now I do two. After moving, it's just been a lot to transition, but missing like a week to go on a trip or a weekend to do a convention or something is a huge hit actually. So
no
it takes a
kidding.
long time to recover from that. I would say
That's
is the most
crazy. So like
challenging part.
so you're strategic. Like when you go and do like a whatever a Comic Con or wherever you end up going, like you're
Mm-hmm.
strategic about what you do then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Like that's stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you would think like nobody just kind of seeing you on social media and stuff, like nobody would ever think that. They would think, oh yeah, she hit the LA Comic Con and had a good time or whatever. But like you literally take a hit not
Yeah.
being on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Definitely.
And
Mm-hmm.
so what is it that like who I guess inspired you or what inspired you to start cosplaying and then kind of like what led you into streaming? Because I would think of cosplay first and then streaming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I started cosplay was because I was in college. I went to college for advertising. So I was doing creative advertising, graphic design, and I have always played video games, loved video games,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Who doesn't,
was
right?
playing. Sorry.
I said who doesn't, right?
Yeah, right, right. Grew up playing games, was playing games in college, a lot of World of Warcraft, and then when League of Legends came out, we all swapped over to League of Legends and played that all the time. And I ended up on a team with a bunch of girls. We would stream on Twitch, but my like lane partner in League of Legends and I got very, very close pretty fast. We ended up living together later on, but
That's cool.
we Yeah, we would go to conventions together. I wouldn't dress up though, and she would. She loved cosplay. I was just like too nervous, too shy. And she essentially one day asked me if I would wear a costume if she made me a costume.
Okay,
And she would do it with me, kind of as a pair to like dissipate some of the nerves. And I told her that I would, mostly because it was Dragon Ball Z and she knew that I love Dragon Ball Z, so she really hit me in the soft spot.
sure, yeah,
But we went to a con and we're in cosplay, and I had always wanted to. I was just too shy, but that's why I started cosplaying. We did the one con, and it was such a blast being in the costume and interacting with everybody else doing Dragon Ball Z. We
yeah.
were making immediate friends constantly throughout the day and seeing people and being like, "Oh, we saw you earlier. Like that's the Goku." And it was
That's
just
cool.
really fun. And then I wanted to do Android 18, and then I wanted to do all these other things. And then it literally spiraled. It has never stopped since because I've just wanted to do more and more characters. And
Yeah,
there's
and
an
just never
infinite
ends.
amount.
And like, what,
Yeah.
like when you think about, cosplay and all that, like, what a supportive community as well, too, right? Like,
Mhm.
it is mind blowing the support that is shown. Uh, and I guess I kind of want to spin that into like, is there a specific character or a fandom that like supports more? Does
Oh,
that make
yeah.
sense?
hmm the most supportive community by far is Resident Evil.
Okay.
It's incredible, actually. I for a long time the grind of social media was doing the cosplays, posting them everywhere, but then trying to promote yourself on sites like Reddit where you would get new fans instead of posting to your social media pages with your followers and hoping that a new
Mhm.
person might see. And Reddit can be ruthless depending on the subreddit. People get very angry very fast. People don't want cosplay in there. They don't want girls in there. It's like people pick your costume apart, all kinds of things. But the Resident Evil subreddit is so beautifully kind. They're just excited about anything to do with the fandom whatsoever. So I started posting costumes in Resident Evil when I did um Alcina from Resident Evil 8,
Okay.
the mom. And it spiraled from there, and I've done a bunch now. I've done almost every character now because it's just so much fun.
Yeah. It seems to me like there would be like a massive chance for things to get weird at
Oh
at
yeah.
conventions. Like, has it ever gotten to the point where you're like, all right, fuck, this is a bit much.
At conventions, yeah, it can definitely, I think, depending on your content type, video content, um, people tend to get a way bigger picture of who you are
Yeah.
versus photo content, which is great for building a community, bad, obviously, for those types of like parasocial relationships and things to happen at cons. A lot of people yeah, maybe just take it a little too far.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah. Uh, do you create your own costumes, and if so, which has been the most challenging, do you think?
Yeah, I do. I create most of my own costumes. Doing it as a job, sometimes there isn't enough time to do everyone to keep up with the amount of content you have to create for social media.
Yeah.
But I do make most of my own costumes, especially anything to do with armor and props. I
Mm,
tend to avoid a sewing machine as much as possible. But I love armor builds and I love prop making. So I would say the hardest one, the one that I'm most proud of and the hardest one I've ever made was a Dead Space. A female Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. I had the helmet, I had the rotating gun, and there were LEDs in there and stuff. It was, and that ended up being the I won a costume contest with that one too,
oh, cool.
my first time.
That's cool. And you're mentioning, social media and stuff and kind of keeping up with that. Like, what do you think you spend a week creating content and posting stuff, and like it's a full-time job for you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, I it's a really long time. You wouldn't think about it being so long, but I could spend 2 hours just posting something across all of the different social media platforms. Like it's a lot that goes into it. Like getting it ready, getting it cropped right with the right caption, with the right like music and making it consistent and having to re-edit it to go on a different platform, and
Yeah.
it takes a really really long time. You wouldn't think that it does, but it does.
Well,
So
yeah, especially when you're doing, unless you have a team,
right.
and then of course it gets a little bit easier. But like, if you're doing it
Hmm.
on your own, it's a shit ton of work.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're doing, any sort of create content creation is a ton of work.
Hmm.
Uh, like, how do you find time to like balance gaming and streaming and working on cosplay? Like, is there sort of like, do you go by like a script, or you're like, okay, Monday I'm going to do this, Tuesday I'm doing, like, how do you work that balance out?
um I should be better about it, but it's kind of just whatever takes priority that day. I do have set days that I stream, and those are very consistent. But other than that, it's kind of just I know that I have a big, big, big to-do list and I have priority labels on everything. So,
So you're just kind of picking
so
them off as you go, sort of thing?
yeah, it's a lot of pivoting as we go. Some days are it's very important to get a costume done
Yeah.
if like an IP, if a new movie is coming out or something. Some days, like when it gets towards the end of the month, it's really important to get all of your photos edited and the sets out and things like that. So,
Hmm.
um,
Why is
yeah.
that? Why does the end of the month matter?
Well, I use Patreon. I don't know if everybody is familiar with that or not, but Patreon, you can do it monthly where people can sign up and support you, and every month they get certain rewards. And so mine are photo sets. So I have to make sure that the sets go out
Yeah,
on time.
I see. And so what's the process for you for deciding like, okay, what am I going to do next? Like, what's the next cosplay character? It depends on, I guess, kind of what's out there.
Yeah, I love to do characters from the games that I'm streaming currently. That's really fun. I like to dress up as the finale of the game
Oh,
too.
nice. That's cool.
Yeah, that's really fun. And also obviously if there's hype building around a new movie or a new game that's coming out, that's a priority as well. And then other than that, just whatever I'm really excited about at the time.
Yeah, that's cool. And is there like anything that comes to mind when I say like, is there anything funny or like unexpected from your streaming that's happened? Like anything immediately pop to mind?
Um, well, some unexpected things have happened. Some like voice actors from the games have popped in to say hi, and that was crazy, like so
What?
cool. Yeah, that I think was really, really cool. The way that I got started streaming, there was a fan of cosplay who worked at Twitch, and she had emailed me and said they were making a new avenue in Twitch as a whole, which was a creative part to separate themselves as not just a video game streaming platform, but they wanted people to be creative on there as well, build
Okay.
art and paint and do
Awesome.
traditional
Yeah.
art. And yeah. And so she reached out to me to stream making my costumes. And
Great
I
idea.
had missed the email completely. It went unread for maybe like 6 months. And I
Well,
ended
like
up,
she's just ignoring us,
yeah,
so
I know. And I ended up emailing her back and being like, I'm so, so, so sorry. I would love to do this if the offer's still on the table.
well, that's great.
And that was crazy. That was unexpected. That she allowed me to do it anyway.
But that's the stuff. Like I used to have a band management company years back with Theory of a Dead Man.
Hmm.
The guitarist in the band's a good friend of mine, Dave Brenner. And he and
Hmm.
I, before I had kids, I we used to manage a bunch of bands and stuff here in Vancouver. And that was one of the things we would always say to the bands, like, do the things, the behind the scenes things that people can't see unless you show them. And
Right.
like you showing your following and your fans and stuff, how you're putting together the costumes and all that, like that's the shit that they're gonna want to come back for more. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
It's a
Yeah.
great idea, yeah. If money were no issue at all, and I guess even time was no issue, what's your dream cosplay project?
I know the answer to this. Have you ever played StarCraft?
StarCraft. I'm not
Are you
sure.
familiar with StarCraft?
No.
It's a Blizzard game, and I was a big World of Warcraft
Okay.
uh nerd for a long time, but I love StarCraft as well. So there's um a character in StarCraft named Sarah Kerrigan, and she um is a human fighting for the humans and becomes the brood mother of the Zerg at one point, which um, is a crazy, like, she's just the coolest character ever. And she has these like transformations, but at the end, she has these huge wings and she like has overcome all of these adversities and she's just like this cool badass character. And so I would love to do that, but it would require a lot of
Time, energy.
mechanical mechanical time and knowledge. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What do you think is, I think you may have mentioned this, but what's your favorite you've done so far?
I did the Isaac Clarke, the female Isaac Clarke from
That's right.
Dead Space, just because of the sheer like time that it took to, because the character is a male, but I commissioned an artist to make female armor, what it would look like as a girl,
Mm,
so that I had something to like reference. And then from there, I got that custom art screen printed on a bodysuit, um, like the undersuit, basically. So it was all created from scratch, um, like the concept, everything. So
that's
I
pretty
put a
awesome to
lot of
commission
time.
somebody. Like, what?
Yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into making it perfect. And especially with all of the LEDs, like making the helmet light up and making the gun and all of these other parts light up. It was a lot of, it was the most work I think I've put into
Yeah.
anything.
It's so cool. Like you love your job. You love your work,
Yeah.
of course.
Uh-huh.
What advice would you give someone that was like just starting up cosplay or starting up streaming? Is there kind of like a blanket advice you could give people?
Yeah, I think like I said about streaming, I think same with content creation, consistency is the most important thing. Um Posting like 3 or 4 times in a row and then being gone for a month and then doing it again will never equate to any growth. I think the most important thing that I tell people is to make sure that you can consistently do what you're doing. So
Mhm.
don't try to burn yourself out all at once or make something huge and try to do like everything that you possibly can at one time. Pace yourself with like small stepping stones of growth, and it will give you way better results in the long run than the sprints.
Yeah, it's a marathon,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're sticking around for the long haul. Like you need to, yeah. If you had to pick just one, is it Marvel or DC?
Ooh, I'm a Marvel girl, but my
Yeah.
roommate's DC, so
Oh, so
we
you fight cat
yeah.
fights.
Uh-huh. It's mostly because I love Spider-Man so much. I
Yeah.
have to go with Marvel.
Yeah. And which superpower would you want to have?
I would want, this is more DC, but I would want Raven's power from Teen
Oh,
Titans. I
yes.
think that that's so powerful. And plus, it would be so helpful on a day to day basis to be able to just move stuff, grab the Dremel from over there and
Yeah.
move stuff around.
Oh, that's great. What's your favorite superhero movie?
Mm. I mean, that's a great question. I
So hard.
it's
So
so
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I love Infinity War. I know that that's kind of
Yeah. It's hard to get away from
basic,
that. There's like
but
7,000 superheroes in that movie.
yeah, and there are so many feelings involved and um but I am a Spider-Man girl, so I think the No Way Home Spider-Man with all of the Spider-Men at once was also my favorite.
Yeah, pretty good. I think that it was the Iron Man movie, the John Favreau directed or produced or whatever. Like it set that bar of like, if you're gonna make a superhero movie, this is where you gotta hit or don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
And have you seen Watchmen?
No, I haven't. I know everyone tells
Breaking
me,
up.
but
We're
I
breaking
know.
up.
I
You
know.
you need to watch The Watchmen, and I
Okay.
want to put in a request for you to do a cosplay of Rorschach.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is like literally one of the best superhero movies of all time. It's blowing my fucking mind that you haven't seen it.
I've heard such good things
It
about
is
it.
so good. Believe me,
Hmm.
watch it. Like
Okay.
watch it and you're gonna be like, holy shit, have I not seen this?
I trust you. I have to. I will. I promise.
Uh what are you watching right now? Like what are you binge watching when you get time?
I'm binge watching Silo right now on Apple TV. It's so good. Have
Yeah.
you
I
seen it?
am watching it a little. I'm into like three or four. I'm just trying to like watch some with my wife and myself, and I got my kids, and but it's good.
Uh-huh.
It's so good.
It's so good. The
It's so
second
good.
season just came out. It's coming out one by one,
Well,
but
I haven't got into that yet, but yeah. What else are you watching?
I'm trying to catch up on a lot of movies. I haven't seen a ton of movies, but I am watching Dan to Dan, an anime. And I'm watching a couple of movies on Netflix that just came out. The Anna Kendrick movie that she made
Oh,
about the serial killer on the dating show. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but that was
yeah,
pretty good too.
yeah, yeah. I'm curious about the music and stuff that was, well, I guess in your life now, but also I want to like, what were you exposed to as a kid? Like, what were your parents playing as you're growing up and stuff?
Hmm. Um, I remember, so my parents, I distinctly remember my mom loved AC/DC and Guns N' Roses. But they had sort of a weird array of music taste where like she also really loved Kenny Chesney and things like that. So I
Okay.
got exposed to a lot of different things. My dad randomly really liked Eminem, so I got a lot of Eminem as well. And then from there, I have always liked the like alternative rock genre at probably the most, and
Yeah.
just a sprinkle of everything else.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I like rock the most, but like if it's a good country artist, like I'll hang.
Yeah, same.
Not all the time, but Morgan Wallen has my fucking time any day of the week. This kid can
Uh-huh.
sing, man. Holy shit, can that
Uh-huh.
kid sing? And what was your first concert? What was the first show you went to see?
I begged and begged to go to Warp Tour. It was like 2008, I think, and they were not into it at first, and then slowly I broke them down, and they eventually let me go. It was a
Nice.
big first one.
Yeah, I was gonna say like so Warp Tour 2000. What was that like Pennywise or like No Effects or Bowling
I
for
don't
Soup?
even. Yeah, it was definitely Bowling for Soup. I remember
Yeah,
Bowling for Soup. There was I don't even remember what the lineup was now, but
that would have
I
been
remember being
in
stoked.
Florida.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. And what do you remember? What do you remember about that day specifically?
I remember Bless the Fall. I was really into Bless the Fall at the time. And I remember getting to meet Bokin at the merch booth.
Oh, cool.
And that was exciting. And uh yeah, it was just really fun to like walk around and see it all and take
right?
all of the
Especially like
heat.
a first show, you're
Yeah,
seeing the freaking festival. Like,
it
yeah,
was crazy. I got so sunburned. It was so good.
that's killer. And who is the most, you mentioned meeting Brett. Who is the most famous person that you've met, do you think?
The most famous person that I've met, just in general.
Yeah.
Um, I have, well, doing conventions, being in like the green room, you kind of get uh introduced, you cross paths with a vast array of people. And I would probably go with William Shatner. I don't
Gonna
know that
say,
he
please tell
knows.
me it's fucking William
Yeah,
Shatner.
I was gonna say it's probably
Yeah.
William Shatner, but I don't know that he would know me if I were
That
to
is
see him
so
in the
like
street.
even just being in the presence, Sir William would be enough for me.
Mhm.
Star Wars or Star Trek then?
I have never seen Star Trek, so I have to go with Star Wars
Ever seen
by
Star
default.
Trek?
I know.
What?
Well, my parents like weren't nerds, so when I was growing up, I was never exposed to anything except for games. Like we had Xboxes and we would play Halo.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't know anything about anything else. So it wasn't until I was, I don't know, in late high school, college age when I watched Star Wars for the first time. So
Okay, well,
I'm a late bloomer when it comes to stuff like that.
yeah. And can you beat your dad in video gaming?
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, I
Definitely.
fucking trashed my dad. Are you kidding me?
Definitely. Not my brother, unfortunately. He's
Is that
good at
right?
everything, too good at everything.
Just a gaming family. I love it.
Yeah.
Where was the last vacation you went to?
My last vacation, I would say, well, I went to England for a friend's wedding recently in October,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
we went a week early to make it a vacation. So
Sure.
probably England.
What did you end up doing there besides the wedding?
Yeah, it was so fun. We just did London and walked around and sort of took in everything. I've never been to London or anywhere in England before.
Yeah.
And then we rented a car and drove to Bath, which is more traditional, historical. We saw Stonehenge. We tried to do
Nice.
all of the touristy things,
We got
the
to
kind
do
of
that
the
if you're
stay that we
going.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we stayed in a really cool Airbnb. It was like it was an actual castle. But it was like the remnants of a castle. It was like very small compared to what it was originally. But were able to stay there, and we had like a D&D one shot that we like did with a bunch of people, and we got to do some photos. I did some like Baldur's Gate character at the castle. So
Oh,
it
that's
was really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a mind blower, right? Like being from North America, obviously from the States specifically, but like the driving distance of going from Florida to fucking California. Like it takes
Yeah.
a while. But
Hmm.
it literally you can go from country to country over in Europe in like a couple hours, and you're like, holy shit, I'm in a new country.
So crazy to
It's a
me
mind
because
blower, right?
it's just like the bottom of Florida to the top is like a 12-hour drive. So
Right.
it's
Like
crazy.
12 hours there, and you're like across the freaking globe almost, you know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, I'm going to wrap it up in a couple questions here, and thank you again for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
And I want to ask you about aliens, just because
Okay.
of all the drones and shit that have been in the news lately, and you
Uh-huh.
know, it kind of is one of those for me. It's personally a rabbit hole. Like if I start going down, I'm diving in deep, right? But
Uh-huh.
do you believe that aliens, I guess, have visited, do visit, do live among us? Your thoughts on aliens?
I feel like there has to be aliens. Like there has to be something else besides us. I feel like it's so self-centered
Right?
to feel like there isn't
Has to be.
something else. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know. How could we know? But um I don't know if I don't know if I have an opinion on whether or not we've made contact with anyone or if they've visited here, but I would assume so.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
personally for me, I just have seen enough things in my life to like, fuck, you look kind of odd. You look almost alien, you know?
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
it would surprise me that if aliens hadn't made
Yeah.
contact at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. And it could be the toughest question, Danielle. It could be the easiest question. What is your career highlight thus far?
Ooh. Hmm. With a lot, it's hard for me because it is such a marathon of like content, this and that, so many different things that it is hard to pin down like one moment, but I have maybe a few. I would say um I got to work with Intel, the like computer technology company,
Mhm.
to like create an original character and build the costume and then wear the costume at a couple of PAX events to like
Oh,
promote their new computer.
is that them?
That
Like, them reaching out to you, or how did that happen? That's crazy.
I know. It was a liaison company, like a marketing company that I had worked with before, that was working with Intel and they wanted a cosplayer. And since they had worked with me before, they
Hmm.
recommended me, which was crazy. But as like a lifelong gamer nerd, then that was like the coolest thing ever, where I was like, I can't believe I'm like doing this for Intel. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
So that would probably be a big one, I would say.
that's got to be up there. Yeah. And so, what's in store for 25 for you? Like, how far do you have things planned, I guess?
Um, I'm really branching out in 2025 actually. It's been like 8 to 10 years of just cosplay content creation, um, kind of doing the same grind of the same things. And I'm doing a little bit more uh, uh different things in 2025. I just started voice acting classes and
Nice.
have been really like in the trenches of figuring out that whole like atmosphere. I really want to do something for a video game one day. That would be
Okay,
really cool.
dude,
And
dude, 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 let me pause you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Write down David K.
Okay.
David Kaye.
Okay.
David K is the guy that voices my podcast.
No way.
He is the fucking voice of like uh Megatron.
No
Op-
way.
I think he did Optimus Prime for a time.
That's so cool.
Ratchet and Clank,
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
John Oliver, the
Fable.
voice of like the John Oliver show. Like he's a freaking legend, and
Wow.
I will make the introduction to David for you. He is a
That would be
fucking he is
incredible.
he is insanely talented and like one of the nicest guys in the land.
Wow. No,
David
that
K.
would
Look
I
up
would
David K.
really,
Listen
really
to his stuff,
appreciate
and you're
that.
gonna be like, "What in the fuck?" He is
I have him
so
right
good.
here.
Yeah, David. That's David. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's
I'll look him
killer.
up.
I do a little bit of voice work myself too, and
Oh yeah.
it's so fun. It's such a fun world to be in, right? Like messing with your voice and being that character, and oh, you're gonna
Mhm.
love it. That's great. Good for
Yeah, I'm
you.
really, really excited. It's nice too, because with cosplay, it's like you're conceptualizing, you're building, you're wearing, you're doing your makeup, you're doing the hair, you're doing the wig. If there's a wig, there's so much like to do with how you look, that doing something in your pajamas with your hair and like a
Right.
messy bun is like so refreshing. So
And,
I'm just
and
really
like
enjoying it.
nobody can see shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's so fun. So I'm really enjoying that. So that's new for me.
oh, that's killer. Well, good for you. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to wrap it up here and not waste any more of your time. But thanks again for jumping on this Zoom today,
Yeah.
Danielle.
Thanks so much for
And
having me.
of course, yeah. And we'll tag you when we're chucking this stuff around online. And I guess we'll see you online. Thanks.